All right, next up, we have about breastfeeding. So we're going to get these ladies up, and we're going to bring these ladies up, and we're going to talk about
breastfeeding.
A serious issue. I don't have a bio for them, but they're going to tell us their bio.
Who they are.
And
where they're from.
Yes.
Welcome, ladies.
Hello. Okay, can you introduce yourself, please?
My name is Yemanya Nipiu, and I am a mother, father, grandmother, and grandfather.
Alrighty then.
Wear many hats.
I am the only living elder. Except for the great-grandparents.
Okay.
And so I'm that issue that goes between the children and grandchildren and the great-grandparents.
Okay.
Because I have 3 of them that are living, 2 females and 1 male. I was born in the Midwest, in Kansas. Okay. And I came here when I was like 9 years old, Sacramento, California. Been here for decades. I'm 60 now. No shame in my game.
Go ahead now.
The other aspect is that I have been, I guess, a community activist and holistic health person since I could remember, because I was raised on a farm. And so when we talk about breastfeeding, my mom gave birth to me at 17. My aunt cousin, my father's first cousin, her husband was my mother's older brother. She breastfed me while my mom went to high school. And so she breastfed me and my cousin at the exact same time. She was born in October.
So she was like this?
She was born.
So she was holding you up.
I don't have visuals, but if you guys would
We don't have a TV, but you know what? Use your imagination.
She was
all
double
right, we ain't going to rock it all hard like that, Chuck. But she actually was the nourishment for my being and for who I am today. My elders all, and that's why breastfeeding is so important to me.
Okay. So can you repeat your name for me real quick?
Yemaya.
Yemaya.
Yemanya.
Okay, now what's the meaning? Does it have a meaning?
Goddess of the moon, goddess of the sea, mother fertility, the mermaid. She is the mother of the Orishas for the Yoruba people. My bloodline is, my African bloodline is Kumba and Yoruba.
Okay.
Yemaya.
And this sister, can you give us your background?
Yes, I am Yolanda Muhammad, and I'm glad to be here on the panel, and thank you all for having me.
Welcome.
And I thank Yamaya for inviting me to be on the panel as well.
Okay.
I'm a mother of 7. I'm a grandmother of 35.
What?
And I'm a great-grandmother about to have my 8th.
All right, 35. Ooh, girl.
Yes.
Okay.
I have an NGO over in Ghana, West Africa, and a 501c3 here. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, and be looking for some events to do some events to raise some funds.
True that.
And I breastfed all 7 of my children. I just moved here. Well, I'm being fragmented right now. I just moved here from Oakland, California. Mm-hmm. Been here in Sacramento area for about 2 years.
Okay. Welcome.
And
So repeat your name for me.
Yolanda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And my African name is Akuya. Inyawu Aku. Yes.
Okay.
And Inyawu means the sun, and Aku means Wednesday, female born on Wednesday.
Okay. All right. So your government name is Yolanda.
Yeah.
Okay. And then your African name is.
Yes.
All right. Very cool. So tell me, what got you guys into this activism of trying to let people know about breastfeeding?
Well, for me, I have 3 children that I gave birth to that I breastfed from 77 to 95. My youngest, who's now 21, going on 22, December the 8th, was born 1 pound, 9 ounces. I breastfed in 80 when my daughter was born, Queen Sheba Oshun. Oshun, Sheba Oshun. And Omar Khattab was born in 77, and Jacques Bonny Daude Lafayette was born in 93, 1 pound, 9 ounces at UC Davis Medical Center. With him, it was extreme. I breastfed the other two, and with my goddaughters, the Ibeji. But when he came at 1 pound, 9 ounces, one of the most important things for me was nutrition for him. They wanted to give him formulas, but I told them he came from my womb and I needed to give him my nourishments from myself, the colostrum and all the nutrients that were going to come from my personal being. They wanted to garbage feed him the breast milk that I gave him instead of letting him breastfeed to me, and I had to pump. And one of the things that happened when they garbage fed him, which means feeding him through a tube in his mouth into his stomach area, they punctured his intestinal tract. And so he ended up with a colostomy within 2 weeks after birth. Oh, wow. And so breast milk was essential for me to keep him alive. They sent in about 16 different people, because at that time I parlez français, I only spoke French to them because I was low income. My husband had been incarcerated and he had been out of prison from that February before. And so I knew that we were in a very critical situation, whereas we were considered extremely low income. And but I was educated enough to know that I had to fight for whatever way I possibly could. And so I chose not to speak English to them. And so they sent about 6 different people from Vietnam, from the, Europeans and other Africans that spoke French from Ghana and from different places to come speak to me. And they said, "Where were you born?" And I said, "I was born in Denver, Colorado." And they said, "How could you?" Not with that accent, lady. And they want to know.
So
to know what we were mixed with, because my husband is Apache.
Wait a minute. What was the strategy here? Why did you speak other languages to them instead of English?
Because they wanted to take my baby and use him as a guinea pig. And because he was so young, they told me I should sign him over because he would be in better care if he was in a more institutionalized situation. So they brought all these people. Well, I had had a C-section. We both died on the table, and God brought us back. The Orishas brought me back to stand steadfast. They took me so that they could tell me what I needed to do and brought me back. Mm-hmm. And that was the only way I could come back. And I thought in English, but it wasn't coming out, I promise. And so, plus they had given me morphine, and I was drug-free. And so when they gave me morphine, it affected my body chemicals in such a way it affected my psychological state. I stayed in this manner, no embarrassment, but I couldn't think in my normal way. And I knew that in order for me to fight from that bed, and my husband didn't know what to do. All he could do was cry because this was his first child. And he didn't know what to do, and my parents didn't know what to do. And his mom was in her late, 60s at the time, and she didn't really know what to do.
60s? Watch that. Watch
well,
that.
what I mean by that, I'm in my 60s now.
Did she say her late 60s?
But
late 60s.
And the other aspect.
Watch it now. Watch it.
Well, the other aspect.
Watch a step now.
Well, I was 38 years old. So they said that I was really and truthfully, my eggs were too old for me to have had a baby. But guess what? Creator brought him anyway. So what I had to do was pump and make sure I stayed there and pumped. And they wanted to send me home before they sent my baby home. And so they wanted me to sign these papers and all this stuff. And I refused to sign because I didn't have any legal representation. And they didn't know what to do with somebody who was thinking on their feet. But it was important for me to breastfeed, even though they said he wasn't going to latch on because his mouth was too little, but they had a nipple in his mouth that's bigger than my nipples. You feel me? Something rubber and plastic would cover his whole little nose and everything. But why couldn't he have me? So I continued to pump and everything and breastfeed when I could. They told me they had him in a special incubator, told me I couldn't touch him and talk to him at the same time. So when I would go into ICU and CCU, I would go in singing. So if I couldn't talk to him, I sang. So I sang and I fed my baby, and all the other baby stats went down also. Wow. And so then they wanted me to put my voice on Memorex. So that they could control the nursery. So then they told me I had to leave the hospital. They put me up at the Kiwanis house at UC Davis. My husband and I were there because we lived in Galt at the time. And we, instead of us having to come back and forth with no transportation, we stayed there on site. I breastfed every I think it was like every 2 hours. At first it was like every hour. And then when they punctured his intestines, then they wanted to give him this formula. And after the puncturing of the intestines, his eyes, they told me he had a condition called retina pigmentosis, which meant that the retina on his eyes was, instead of fitting on like a glove, it was coming up like the points on a crown coming off of his eyes. And so they had over-oxygenated my baby. They had punctured his intestines.
Oh, my God.
And I was standing steadfast. He still lives. He's deaf, non-speaking, but he signs. He tested out as a junior in college from homeschool, et cetera. And from the fact that I know that these nutrients, they wanted to put him on oxygen, send me home with oxygen, prednisone, and all these things that produce breast in boys now, that I took him off of and continued to breastfeed even though they said not to. The formulas I brought home from WIC, but I didn't implement them. I juiced, I blended, I made all my own baby foods, all my own juices for him. Now he's 21 years old, wearing a size 14 and a half shoe. He stands 5'11".
Wow, that's a big brother.
Yeah.
He's a big boy.
When people talk to me about this, I tell them that breast milk does wonders.
Yes.
What are the benefits? What are some of the benefits from
Well, first of all, it pulls the female uterus back into the balance of the body, gives forth all the nutrients needed to keep the child from being ill. He had, his lungs were, of course, not fully developed, but they had him on all these asthma medicines and all these things. But when I took him off of these things without permission and did all the things I knew to do that I call my grandmothers and all them to do, the benefits are vitamin K, colostrum, all the things that benefit them from being ill. Lungs, strengthens their bones, their muscle connector tissues. All of those things come from us. We are grown up already. We've had the nutrients in our body. In fact, when we become pregnant, I think that's probably the strongest that we are as women. The only time we become vulnerable is when they put us on our backs instead of us being, in a squat.
Both of them are squat.
Oh, you talking about giving birth?
Once again, y'all need a TV for this.
I was like,
we're talking football here.
Okay.
Y'all
because
need
I had a whole
television.
different image. Okay, all right.
Oh, God.
All right, Yolanda, what's your experience from breastfeeding?
Well,
since we're giving firsthand experiences of breastfeeding. So what's your experience breastfeeding?
becoming a mother, I understood through learning from the elders in my family that breastfeeding is the best thing to do for your baby instead of bottle feeding. My mother was saying that she breastfed all of her children except for one. She bottle fed her 8th child, and he was the one that was rebellious, but kicking like a goat, and all the rest of us was meek and humble because she breastfed us. So she was saying it's better to breastfeed. So when I breastfed my first child, I love the bonding that me and my
She said a term, latch on.
Latch on.
Well, I can
That's a very
imagine that
interesting
it
term.
does create
A closeness.
A psychic
and a bond.
closeness.
Yeah.
A telepathic closeness.
Absolutely.
It's like blood, like the blood flow in your veins when you breathe correctly. It's that same vibration, you know.
Well, it's been living. Well, the child has been living inside of the body, and
It's like going back home.
you know.
Oh yes,
That's the
baby
closest
is
you
in
can get.
love, in love with the mother.
Totally.
If you ever notice when you breastfeed your child is staring up at you, and your child is like mesmerized,
Yeah.
looking into your face, just in love with the
In love
mother.
with you.
Breastfeeding, you know, and not only that, the benefits of breastfeeding is like she was saying, it brings the uterus back into place. It lowers the risk of getting breast cancer. It lowers the risk of getting what you call
Uterine.
ovarian cancer.
Oh, really?
You know, yes.
Wow.
And it also builds the baby's immune system, where the baby is less likely to get diseases and infections and things
Yes.
like that.
Well, yeah, me and Ron was talking, and that's one of the things that I thought that was very interesting about breastfeeding was that you pass on all your antibodies
Hello.
Antibodies, that's it.
to your
the baby,
baby,
yeah.
and all the stuff that you survived is passed on. It's
like a
to your
protective
child.
shield.
Yeah.
Now,
it's
how
very
old
interesting.
should
They download.
How old should? Because I've seen some place. Some
I've seen some grown folks.
How old should they stop? Because I'm still breastfeeding. No,
You know what? No, you never stop.
it's not on my mama though.
I was gonna say. Lord, get on that breast too. Get on that breast with your baby.
All right, now you guys are making up. You know what?
No, serious.
Yes.
Serious.
On the real
seriously.
about that, when we looked at the wars in Somalia and the devastation in Somalia and parts of Africa, to go across the diaspora right now pertain to breastfeeding. The warriors of Somalia, they kept their wives pregnant because they had to breastfeed because the lack of water and lack of nutrients. In order for them to continue the war, the women had their children breastfeeding and they had their warriors breastfeeding.
Hey, come on with it now. All right. Beautiful.
So all you gotta do is feed one person. So all right.
It's only in America. It's only in America that they really devalue breastfeeding. You know, it becomes a stigma. It becomes a thing. Oh, you have your breast out, that type of thing. When they use breast to
that's
sell
very
everything,
interesting,
bubble
where-
gum, soda, everything. But when a mother tries to feed their child,
Something
it
natural.
becomes something bad. So
It's very interesting.
sexual.
Even on
Yeah.
Facebook, right? They actually take down pictures of women, breastfeeding, and it's a very interesting thing where. We can have breast out for consumerism.
for music videos, selling
everything
bubble
else,
gum,
but when it
selling
comes
soda.
to what they made for, right? You be like, then it's like, oh no, we don't want to see that. So
But there's
it's
a big
very-
campaign in Kaiser Hospital, though. They have a lot of pictures of women breastfeeding throughout
we
Kaiser
have to-
Hospital now.
Well, they've had to bring it back around because they're watching the allergic reactions that the children are having. They talk about hyperactivity, bipolarism, all of these chemical imbalances, schizophrenic, schizophrenia.
It has a lot to do with the chemicals that they're putting in.
That's right.
So if you get some
and
natural
anything
things,
coming
it'll
from
bring
a
you back.
can going into such a natural being, someone so fresh.
There's going to be a
life.
counteract reaction.
Now the mother definitely has to be pure, though. I mean,
She
when I
can't be
say pure,
smoking
she
cigarettes. She can't be out there doing
drinking, or
craziness.
No,
taking
because
drugs, right.
this is a form of like blood.
Yeah.
You know, this is life's blood.
The pre-child care,
It's the
prenatal
temple.
care.
It's the temple.
This is all the prenatal care. This is the beginning. When she goes into having this baby, she needs to be on track with everything.
All the
Okay,
nutrition,
because the things
real food.
that she does that are not in balance can cause her to be somebody or the child to be unbalanced.
Right.
And then also too, a lot of times they get duped our young black women. They get duped that you have to have formula, you have to have this. So you're spending your money on something that you already producing yourself.
Yeah.
But it's also like we're living in a modern society. You know, it's like almost like Burger King. You know, I don't have time to sit home and pump my breast for my baby.
No,
Let me
it
get
hurts.
some formula. Oh, that baby
I
bit
can't
me.
be
Well, guess
breastfeeding
what?
no girl when I'm
Does
a
it hurt?
female. No,
It doesn't
I've
hurt.
heard that one.
No, I've heard ladies say, "Oh, but she's a female," or "No, that's too sexual for me." "Oh, it made me tingle here." Or
She's
whatever.
got the wrong channel.
Well, guess
That's
what?
the Western world,
That's the brainwashing.
the European society in which we live in. Okay?
Well, it's supposed to feel good, girl.
Look,
but
now it's time
Girl.
for people like her, mothers, to come back into the community to bring this motherhood.
Well, the big
back
mama need
and
to
start
come back into their
teaching.
neighborhood.
Big mama
Sure.
start teaching again, okay?
Yeah,
about
yeah.
the breastfeeding, the importance of breastfeeding, bringing some educational material into the black community, teaching these black girls how important it is, and then show them when they don't breastfeed what is subject to happen to their children. You don't want no retarded. We got to be real with these children.
Yeah,
So they
yeah.
know that we don't want to have no retarded kids running
True.
around here. Okay?
Right.
You want your child to be mentally and physically and spiritually healthy.
Sounds
Straight up. Okay, so
And
we
if it
gotta-
starts with you
Yes.
on all levels,
Yes, it does.
We're the first teachers. We're the first
teachers.
everything. We were the first cultivators.
Yes.
We're the first teachers. Mother Earth is real. It's like if we don't go back to basics, then we're going to continue the genocide on our people. And the genocide starts from the womb. And so, we know that. We see it once they come out the womb. By third grade, they're trying to figure out which penitentiary or institution they're going to put them in. And so what we have to do is continue to educate with love the other
Strong hand love.
females. We have to give them boundaries, but we have to continue to educate with love the other females that may not be open enough, to understand. They're so busy looking at all the different electrical equipment and all these different medias and being brainwashed subconsciously and consciously, by way of all these medias until we have to bring them back to earth. Come on, let's go put our feet in the soil. Let's talk right now.
Well, we have a big movement going on right now, organic, right? Everybody's trying to
Started
go
that
back.
movement.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Oh, excuse me. But I think that when you look at the Caucasians, they are gravitating more towards organic.
Well, they're across
more
the
towards-
street with a
yeah, they be like farm to
with a-
fork. It's like interesting terms that you be like, wait a minute. Black folks been doing this, and then y'all took it away from us.
I was just
It's very
talking about
interesting.
that.
It's very interesting that they took it away from us, and then they adopt it, and then they like
They resell it back.
and then they be like, oh no, well we and then they don't admit fault that they took it away from us. But
But we had to hold on to our own though too. You have Big Mama in your house. Big Mama should have never left and went to the club.
Well, Big Mama shouldn't have never been put in a position to go to the club. First of all, second of all, Big Mama shouldn't have never been put in a convalescent home.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
So
usually,
and Paw,
Yeah.
because they are
The
our
guidance.
original minds,
Yeah.
and
Well, that's another thing. That's another thing where like I said, we've been brainwashed.
Yeah.
They tell us this is the way you're supposed to do things, and then we forget about the way we do things.
Well, but you
And-
have to sometimes don't forget your heart. What's your heart telling you? What's your heart? Once again, it goes back to the heart. It goes back to love. It goes back to trust. Do I trust you enough to keep me here?
Because they take your people out of your home. They take your kids out your home.
well, and it's all about the dollar. So as long as they can sell something to you, I believe that's the key.
That's
the
the-
key
that is the key,
we have
right?
to
Yeah.
stop
Buying into
buying
everything.
into everything. Right?
Well, the original thing that they did, and I remember what they did to me when the last birth, they brought me all of these gifts that I was supposed to take home. And with these gifts came the formulas. Well, you can have this kind of formula, Nestle's, and then you can have this kind of formula.
Gerber.
But Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we got all of this going on
who the hell is Johnson?
because for some people who are low income, just the thought that somebody's going to give them a gift that they think. But meanwhile, this is a gift of poison. Just like in India and parts of Africa, they bring them the formula that they have to
Get them hooked on it.
They have to mix them with water.
So the water's bad. So you got bad water and bad formula. So you got gooba gaba.
And not only
going
that, but
inside
you have to go down to the well and get the water. Right.
the
Go down
water,
to the
but
river.
the water down in the well
Right.
ain't necessarily
contaminated.
You got to go way down to the river and get that water.
You
so
don't
you can
know
make
whether
formula.
that last animal had fallen off in the water.
Well, people
or
have to go.
not.
People still also have to start going back to thinking for themselves, because even if somebody offers you a can of formula, it don't mean that you have to take it.
Well,
You know
to
what
me,
I'm saying?
it's like it goes
So-
back to the whole thing where if
You
we go
just
back,
watch the
if we
music
go
you
back to
dance
the
to.
way it is supposed to be, then not only are they saving money, but they are actually reinforcing that child.
Right.
For what's to come,
Sure.
and all the evolution that we have made and the environment that we live in.
But
you
as a
pass
young
it
lady,
along.
when it comes to you and your breast and your child, you can't allow people to make you feel ashamed of breastfeeding your child.
Yeah.
When
she
you
don't
look
know
at
no better.
but
Come in at.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
she's not ashamed to wear a camisole out, but she's ashamed to pull her breast out to
Because
feed her
people make
baby.
her feel comfortable.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
but
well, people be like,
they have to stop feeling that way. They have to stop feeling that way. You have to be comfortable with who you are.
Yes.
So we have
Okay.
to start very early.
Yes.
and
Very
and
early
disabusing-
before
Start in the
they start. Well, of course, start from the womb.
But you have to
when
start
we're-
when they can see. Because
Well,
they
we
can't
have
see
to-
in the womb. You need to show and tell.
There you go.
We have to end the stigmatism
Examplers.
of breastfeeding. It's like you shouldn't feel ashamed to breastfeed.
No,
That's true.
You shouldn't
And
have
we
to go
should
running. You
encourage
shouldn't
it.
have to run in a closet
should be
because your baby's
encouraged.
hungry
No.
and all this kind of
It
stuff
should be
like
encouraged.
that.
I'd be like, girl, go ahead.
Cover them with a blanket in 105 weather, huh?
Yeah.
I'm like, girl, go ahead. I ain't
And you
mad
know
at you.
what?
Go
Not
ahead.
to cut you off. We as women, we don't realize that we stand in the place of God. We are second to God when it comes down to our children. When that baby cry, our breast fills up with milk to feed that child. That baby is praying to us when that baby cry. And then the mother hear the sound of that baby's voice and she answers the call to the prayer of the child.
But even
Praying.
if she doesn't hear the baby's voice and the baby is
the nature,
crying
that breast gonna fill
5
up.
miles away, the breast is going to come and fill up anyway.
Well, even
you
now
know what?
today, though,
Women-
even if the mother ain't at the house, they got a pump. You can put some in the refrigerator.
I like.
You- but
wait a
you know
minute.
what I'm
Wait a minute.
saying?
Wait a minute. I like this train of reasoning that God is a breast. I love that. Okay, so
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. The
I like
cells
that.
are alive. It's thinking. It's defecating. Everything clean.
God has big boobs.
Scientifically proven.
Right.
Yeah.
So thank you, Yolanda, and I'm gonna try to say your name.
Yemen, yeah.
I'm
Yema-
Yemanya, but
Yemaya.
I want to throw a shout out to Sister Shona with her Sojourner Truth, because she's another sister that would have been here tonight.
Okay.
And she is definitely on board with us.
Okay.
And we're in March
do you have
for International Women's Month. We will definitely be coming together to do a full form on breastfeeding, the mystery of the womb, how important the womb is to us as a people, as a nation. And my show on television is called Show Them the World, and you can actually email me at ynipew, Y-N as in Nancy, A, P as in Paul, U-E, at gmail.com.
And I would like to mention also, get it out there. So if any breastfeeding mothers are listening, the moringa, M-O-R.
Oh yeah, moringa is a good.
Yeah. So you
It's a
know
plant.
about
Yeah, okay.
absolutely. And that moringa produces quality breast milk. It fattens the baby. It helps the baby stay well, and the mother too. The mother had a C-section. Eat that moringa powder, moringa seeds, and it helps.
So what do
the
you
body
do?
heal.
How do you eat the moringa?
You can pop the seeds in your mouth.
Pop those seeds.
Okay. Chew it.
Where can people buy moringa?
Where can they get it at?
Oh, it's all- they got.
Well,
They,
from me.
okay.
But I'm saying you have to give us some kind of address who you are.
I'm sorry.
Come on, Yolanda. Come on, girl.
Can't run out in the middle of the street and yell moringa.
You can get it from me, Yolanda Muhammad,